the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
From the First Bet Studios at Santa Anita Racetrack, I am Jeff Siegel. Welcome to the 2020 Runhappy Travers Stakes preview as we look ahead to Saturday's $1.25 million Kentucky Derby prep race at Saratoga. Strange to say that. A race that brings together, arguably, maybe the first and second best three-year-olds in North America, with apologies to Art Collector, who will be racing the following day, Sunday at Ellis Park, as I bring in my co-host, Eddie Olczyk. And Eddie, 'tis the law, the Belmont Stakes winner, and Uncle Chuck, Bob Baffert's latest and greatest three-year-old potential superstar colt, will get most of the play in the Travers. But Saratoga isn't known as the graveyard of champions for nothing. So is this a two-horse race, or is there a chance for an upset?
Well, Jeff, great to be with you. And I would say it is a two-horse race. You know, maybe Country Grammar for Chad Brown, who has a race over the track just a couple of weeks ago in the Peter Pan. But for me, it does come down to 'Tis the Law and Uncle Chuck. And the unknown of Uncle Chuck, you know, shipping for the first time across the country. But if Bob Baffert is going to send a horse across the country, you know he probably thinks a lot of this three-year-old. So really, I'm looking at this race and thinking that it's probably going to go through one of these three horses, but certainly 'Tis the Law and Uncle Chuck will be the two betting favorites without question. But if Country Grammar maybe split those horses if you're looking to play it a certain way. But 'Tis the Law is the favorite, should be the favorite. If the Kentucky Derby was tomorrow, I think we both would agree. Not necessarily we would both take the favorite, but 'Tis the Law would be the favorite for the Kentucky Derby if it was run tomorrow or on Saturday.
Looking at the field, field of 8 going a mile and 1/4, and obviously, as you mentioned, most of the play, the heavy favorite 'Tis the Law, drawing post position number 6. Looks like he'll get a good trip. The pace scenario looks a little muddled because going a mile and 1/4, there are horses in here who like to lay fairly close to the pace, but most of the time at a mile and 1/4, nobody really sends their horses hard. So that could play into the hands of Uncle Chuck, who could be forwardly placed in a great spot. Looking at this race, though, I'm looking at 'Tis the Law, Eddie, and I'm looking at his form. 5 out of 6 is only defeat coming on an off track. It's not going to rain on Saturday. Does 'Tis the Law have a, I mean, where's his weakness? I don't see it. I mean, he's so good. How does he not run well in this race?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if he lets Uncle Chuck go, maybe that is the way to do it. I mean, he's very tactical in all of his races. He's proven over the Saratoga Strip, you know, when he broke his maiden back last year. We're only a couple of days away from the first time that we saw 'Tis the Law on track. And, you know, for me, I mean, there we just saw the footage of the Belmont win by 'Tis the Law. I think what makes him so dangerous, Jeff, is his tactics. He's very tactical. He can get to the lead if he wants in a quick pace, or he can just sit off of. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, maybe 1-2, because I think we know with Luis Saez being on for Bob Baffert and Uncle Chuck, I think we all know what the MO is for him. At least that's what I feel, is that they're going to get out and let him get comfortable. Now, what does the rail horse do? First line with David Cohen, just come off a maiden win. I don't know if it's as quick enough as Uncle Chuck, but you figure that horse, at least if I own the horse, I would want that horse to get position. So I would probably want to send a little bit, but 'Tis the Law, it's his race to lose, and maybe he's running up against, I've seen people talking about Uncle Chuck and saying maybe the next Arrogate. I think Arrogate's the best horse that Bob Baffert has ever trained. That's just my opinion. I haven't seen that just yet, but maybe we're on the verge, Jeff. So 'Tis the Law can be tactical and maybe just sit off if somebody wants to go really crazy. And let's not forget Chivalry on the outside of Max Player and just to the inside of 'Tis the Law. That's another horse that has some speed as well. I expect maybe a little quicker pace than most people, and I know they're going a mile and a quarter, but if they can get to 3/4 of a mile, in my opinion, I think they're going to go 10 and change. If they go 10-1, 10-2, then it's going to be a horse that might be just sitting right off and maybe be able to pick up the pieces. And I would say that would probably end up being 'Tis the Law.
Law has the home track advantage. He's been training there. He's been training unbelievably well. Whereas Uncle Chuck has to ship cross country. He just showed up to the Saratoga a couple of days ago. How much of an advantage is that to 'Tis the Law? I personally, I think if I want to face 'Tis the Law, I'd rather do it in the Kentucky Derby than the Travers. How much is 'Tis the Law, if any, does he have an advantage just being there and training there?
Yeah, I think it is a big advantage because Jeff, that's there's a certain feel to that track. Now this year they did change the track surface there. I think people should realize that it's not what it used to be, and it's very similar to what people have talked about on the grounds. There is very similar to the track at Aqueduct. But for Bob Baffert to ship this horse cross country, Arrogate had never run it at Saratoga either, and he went a sub 2 minute, a mile and a quarter in the Travers and won by looked like about 20. I mean, I was there, and it was just an amazing race. That's one of those races I'll never forget of being there for that win. But yeah, I mean, it is a concern but not as much, especially when you have a guy like Bob Baffert shipping a horse. I feel pretty confident. If you look at it, if you like Uncle Chuck, I can't argue that because you've got one of the best conditioners we've ever seen being able to ship a horse cross country and run a pretty darn good race. But he's going to have to prove it. He's stepping up with the big boys now, and we'll see if he's able to do it on Saturday.
Uncle Chuck. And I know this is more of an emotional pick than a pick that I'm making based on the form. Because on the form, I can't really make Uncle Chuck beat Tiz the Law unless Uncle Chuck continues to improve. And he really has come quickly. Broke his maiden, and most recently, of course, winning the Los Alamitos Derby and doing it in style, beating 1,000 Words that came out of that race. And just last week at Del Mar beat Honor Code, the Santa Anita Derby winner. So the form is kind of holding up. And what I like about Uncle Chuck is he's tactical. I mean, he's a colt that looks like he'll thrive at a mile and a quarter. His win at Los Sal, he sat off the pace, whereas in his maiden win, he made the lead. So he showed some versatility. He flew home last eighth in less than 12, and he just has such a long, loping stride. Looks like a colt that will run all day. And I don't know. I can tell you this for sure, that Uncle Chuck has never faced anybody as good as Tiz the Law. But on the other hand, you could make a case that maybe Tiz the Law hasn't faced anybody as good as Uncle Chuck. So it's going to be a really intriguing race, one that I was kind of looking forward to in Kentucky. But I guess we get a kind of a sneak preview here at Saratoga. These are the two horses that I'm going to focus in on. But I want to ask you, Eddie, how are you going to play this race? Now, these are the two favorites. So, I mean, I know you like to play prices. Who doesn't? How do you put this to the window and make it worthwhile for you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. You mentioned Uncle Chuck, Jeff, is that this is only his third career race, and he's only faced fields of 4 and 5 respectively as far as the number of horses in this race. Now all of a sudden he's going into a race with 8, so a little bit different, right? I mean, just a little bit of a different surrounding for him, so something to keep an eye on him. Look at it's hard for me not to look at the 3-horse Uncle Chuck and the 6 Tiz the Law. So I mentioned Country Grammar a little bit earlier. I had run into Chad Brown back when I happened to be in Florida on Fountain of Youth Day back in February, and he was very high on this 3-year-old colt then. He just felt like he needed a little bit more time, and now the horse ends up winning the Peter Pan at Saratoga over the track. We talk about how important it is. But for me, I think it's something that I'm going to be using the Tiz the Law, Uncle Chuck, and use Country Grammar and play some trifectas and exactas and just hope that we can find the opportunity that maybe Country Grammar splits one of them, and then maybe instead of making it a $8 trifecta, maybe it turns into 20, and that's how you make a little bit of money by using the favorites.
Win the Bluegrass Stakes, and I know you're very high on him on Sunday. I'm not sure that he won't win the Kentucky Derby no matter what happens on Travers Saturday. What do you think of Art Collector, and what should we be watching from him?
Yeah, my opinion has not changed, Jeff, since when we did a preview for the Bluegrass. Art Collector, for me, is a horse that has just found his stride since going to 2 turns. He had never gone 2 turns before, and since that point, I mean, he has been absolutely lights out. And again, another horse that is tactical. If it goes really quick, he's going to be able to sit. If there's not a lot of speed in the race, he's going to be able to sit close. So I really like the tightener. There's no travel for him. And then he can shoot over to Churchill from Ellis and get ready for the first Saturday in September. He's coming into this race on Sunday really in good form. That's what I'm hearing. And you see the works and you see the numbers. I think this sets him up very, very nicely. It'd be really interesting, Jeff. The last thing I'll say about the Travers is how hard will these horses have to run? Will that take anything out of them coming up in, in less than a month when we get to the Run for the Roses in September.
Well, which is why I probably, if it had been mine, I would have probably kept Uncle Chuck in California. But Bob Baffert's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not. So I will defer to Bob on that, and looking forward to a great race on Saturday in the Travers. Eddie, stay safe. You're in Stamford, Connecticut, in the bubble for the NHL, so enjoy it from there.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And this reminder, we have a special promotion for First Bet app. Definitely take a look at this. A money-back guarantee on all 12 races Saturday at Saratoga. Now, if your win bet finishes second or third, don't feel too bad because you get refunded up to $10 per race. That's only on the First Bet app, not Express Bet, just the First Bet app. So that's an inducement to certainly play on the First Bet app. And if you don't have it, download it. It's free. Take advantage of it. It's a great app. That's the First Bet app. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching us here. Don't forget we have additional coverage, the weekend coverage on Travers Saturday. And you can go to first.com/bet. First.com/bet to get all of that extra information on Travers Saturday. That's it. Jeff Siegel for Eddie. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck Saturday at Saratoga.
And they're off. Second in the two-path.